took care of it up.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
you.
There you go.
All right. Call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Let's approve some minutes.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the October 28th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the October 28th, 2024 non-public meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, a few quick, not quick, because there's a lot on this list. Some announcements. The select board will meet on the following dates, and there are going to be a lot of budget work sessions listed here. So if you're paying attention, buckle up. Monday, November 25th, will be a regular meeting beginning at 5 p.m. December 2nd will be a budget work session beginning at 1 p.m. December 9th, another budget work session beginning at 3:30 p.m. Monday, December 9th, regular meeting at 5 p.m. On the 16th, a budget work session at 1 p.m. Quick note, I will not be able to attend that budget work session. Monday, December 23rd, regular meeting beginning at 5 p.m. January 13th, budget finalization meeting beginning at 1:30 p.m. January 13th, a regular meeting beginning at 5 p.m. January 27th, a regular meeting at 5 p.m. January 27th will be the first public budget hearing, and that'll be here at 5:15. And then Thursday, February 6th, will be the final budget hearing if needed. And we almost always do it anyway, but that'll be at 5:15 p.m. as well. Town offices will be closed on Thursday, November 28th and Friday, November 29th in observance of Thanksgiving holiday. Any citizens wishing to be listed on the select board's agenda should notify town hall before noon the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. And all meetings are held here in town hall and by Zoom, and Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouthnh.gov. I'm going to go slightly out of order on the agenda this evening and hand it over to Scott.
Thank you. I have a letter I'd like to read dated November 12th to Chief Alexander Hutchins, Deputy Chief Nathan Buffington, Chief Tom Morrison, and Deputy Chief Kevin Pierce. Subject, letter of commendation for exemplary response to an active shooter incident. Dear Chief Hutchins and Chief Morrison, on Wednesday, November 6th, our community faced a terrifying active shooter situation at the Federal House Inn on Route 25. It is with great pride and sincere appreciation that we recognize the exceptional courage, professionalism, and coordinated response demonstrated by the officers of the Plymouth Police Department and the firefighters of the Plymouth Fire Rescue Department, along with our mutual aid partners during this critical incident. The swift actions of your teams, including immediate containment of the threat, effective evacuation procedures, and seamless medical care provided to victims, undoubtedly saved the lives and minimized future harm. Your dedication to public safety under extreme pressure was a testament to your commitment to our community. We commend the leadership and quick decision-making of Chief Alexander Hutchins, Deputy Chief Nathan Buffington, Sergeant Rod Diamond, Sergeant Brian Keeler, Detective Tom Arnold, and Deputy Chief Kevin Pierce, as well as the exemplary teamwork displayed by all personnel involved in this response. Your actions exemplify the highest standards of service within your respective departments. This letter serves as formal recognition of your outstanding performance during this challenging event. We are deeply grateful for your unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. And thank you from the board as well. And from that, I want to skip to the pinning ceremony for two of Plymouth's newest police officers. Chief?
Good evening. Tonight I would like to recognize the two newest members of the Plymouth Police Department, Officer Maddie Hubble and Officer Lucas McKenzie. Both Officer Hubble and McKenzie were hired back in April of this year after completing our hiring process. They both attended the 197th New Hampshire Full-Time Police Academy, graduating on October 4th and receiving their police certifications. Officer Hubble and McKenzie have been working with their field training officers since graduating so they can become a solo patrol officer in the weeks to come. Please join me in congratulating Officer Hubble and McKenzie as they work towards achieving their professional career goals. So at this time, I'd like to have Maddie come up first for her pinning. Go right ahead. And do you have somebody to come up? Awesome. You guys want a picture? Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And Lucas? Come on up.
Sorry.
That's perfect, just like that, Mom. We'll take care of it after. You're good.
That's perfect.
The rest of your family wanna go up?
Yeah, do you guys want to come up?
All right. This way. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Usually there's a whole lot of movement.
Thought you were sitting in the back row, didn't you, huh?
The back row to the front row.
Anymore.
All right, now that that's through, I did want to welcome the civic students to our meeting this evening. We always appreciate your attendance. What time do we have? Still 5:09. Town manager's report?
Sure. Starting off, planning board news regards to John Christ. At the recent American Planning Association Northern New England Planners Conference held the week of October 28th in Stowe, Vermont, John Christ was recognized as Planner of the Year. This represents planners from Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. 25-26 budget. The first phase of the 25-26 budget process has been completed. This phase included the town manager and finance director meeting with individual department heads, and then the town manager and finance director presenting the budget to the budget committee with recommendations from the town manager. Starting on November 7th, the Budget Committee will start meeting with individual department heads to review their budget and CIP request. This process will wrap up on November 14th. It will then move to the Select Board for review starting on December 2nd. Our goal is to continue budgeting conservatively for 25-26. Welfare report. During the month of October, Mary Ann worked on 41 cases that were received. The cases range from assistance with rent, electricity, heat, and housing. As I review Mary Ann's report and speak with her weekly, the cases become more complex. Mary Ann is diligent while being compassionate about resolution and facilitating assistance. Highway garage, the Plymouth vent system. The Plymouth vent system installation was completed last week. The system provides various systems that capture, extract, and remove gas and diesel exhaust emissions, creating a cleaner and healthier work environment for staff. The Highway Department has never had this type of system in the highway garage, and in the past, it's been highly recommended by Primex, our workers' compensation carrier. Our Joint Loss Management Committee met on Tuesday, October 29th. Primex presented accident investigation training. The committee reviewed the quarterly losses, July through September. There were 3 minor workers' compensation losses, only 1 with lost time, and there were no property casualty claims. Jesse Jennings presented on tips for working safely in the winter, which will be taken back to all departments. Information Technology RFP, a request for proposal was issued on October 31st, 2024, to support, manage, and maintain the town's IT infrastructure, users, security, and planning. Submittals should address the company's ability to work within a municipal environment. The selected vendor will be responsible for maintaining and supporting the municipality's IT infrastructure, including desktop, laptop maintenance and replacement, M365 tenant administration, M365 licensing, backups for both on-premises and M365 cloud resources, service support, monitoring, repair service, and other key factors as specified in the RFP. This proposal and pricing should be for a period of no less than 1 and no more than 3 years. Proposals must be received no later than 4:30 on November 26, 2024, from interested firms to be eligible for consideration by the town. Each proposal shall be submitted in a sealed envelope which is clearly marked. Our current contract expires on December 31st, 2024. I want to take this opportunity to thank Ted and Ann for many hours of work on this project. Thank you to both. Economic Development, I've had the opportunity to speak with Neil Cannon, Finance and Development Consultant, and Stuart Arnett from Arnett Development Group with regards to setting up meetings with the Select Board and other identified parties to meet with them to discuss the scope of what the town of Plymouth is looking for dates and recommendations from the Select Board. Telecommunications services, we have started to review our telecommunication contracts with Granite Communications and Consolidated Communications for all town departments. Jesse Jennings is currently researching and evaluating our current contracts and looking for a means of savings and moving to an internet cell tower service, which our current server would support in place of hardwire copper lines. Solar array update, New Hampshire Electric Co-op has completed the transformers and the wiring is wrapping up this week. Crews are working with Tom Newcomb and State Electrical Inspector as the final inspection did occur on Friday, November 8th. Once the inspection is complete, New Hampshire Electric Co-op will do their final inspection and installation of the net meter. Once the inspections are complete, the programming of all inverters will occur and the system will be up and running. This will start immediately after getting New Hampshire Electric Co-op's approval, but should take several days as there are 26 inverters. Assuming we get the approvals from the state and New Hampshire Electric Co-op and don't need to make any modifications, we could be up and running by November 18th as a target date.
I'm sorry, Scott. So does that mean, or the timeline for all municipal areas or the town's buildings? Does that mean we're all going to be hooked up to this?
No.
Or,
It'll
okay, so
mean-
that's completion ready fall?
It will mean that the system has been commissioned by both the state and New Hampshire Electric Co-op.
Okay.
So it will be up and running and testing for a period of time before transmitting.
Okay.
And we're not technically running the municipal buildings off the solar array anyway.
No.
I thought we were,
It's a net
Some-
metering.
No, we're generating power that goes back into the grid that they'll
Okay,
pay
that
us and
will-
it'll offset our
Gotcha.
electric costs.
huh,
And hopefully we can get this
Gotcha.
done sooner because there's other rebates out there that start the first of the year, so.
okay.
And I know the Energy Commission will be talking and discussing it later this week. Union contract negotiations, we continue to work with the union negotiation meetings with the police department and fire department, reviewing their union proposals. Downtown drainage project, the puddling in front of the Groovy Noodle was the last item on the construction punch list. This was resolved by redirecting drainage on Monday, October 28th by Grenice Construction. The town will be able to move forward with closing out the project with Economic Development Administration. And last, I'll be meeting with Jess Dutel on Monday, November 18th for our monthly meeting. And that concludes my report.
Going back to the budget meeting on the 14th, do you know what time that's at?
11 a.m., Zach.
Thank you.
And that day, we'll be reviewing, it's the last meeting, we'll be reviewing the police department budget, the recreation budget, and cemeteries and recycling center.
Okay.
We did have a meeting today, that started at 11, ended around 1:30 or so. So those are the only three areas that are left to cover in the budget.
Scott, for the Plymouth vent system, was that budgeted?
That was budgeted. Yep.
Thank you.
It had been budgeted for 2 years, I believe, and finally, we pushed it this year to get it done.
Great.
Yeah. I think that's going to make that a much better space. Yeah. Did
The only-
they make any comment, like the guys who work there make any comments on,
The air is much fresher,
yeah. I wondered if it seems like it would be
right,
noticeable.
because all that equipment starts up in the morning inside. And
Yeah,
that system immediately kicks on once the trucks start.
yeah. Yeah, and usually, like if you start like a fire truck inside the fire station, it'll set the carbon monoxide detectors off almost instantly.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's great. Glad to
And
hear.
then the only other thing, real quick, is Joe's 34 years of service with the town retirement celebration. Tuesday, November 19th at Peace Public Library from 2 to 4. If you have an opportunity to stop in, please do so. And then just a big shout out to Kelsey Bowden and the select board members for a great Veterans Day ceremony held here at Town Hall. Great attendance. It was nice to see the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts in attendance, as well as all the patrons and veterans that showed up to recognize the importance of the ceremony. So thank you.
Yeah, it was very well executed. And we're slightly over time, but let's open the public hearing. 5:18, I'm opening a public hearing in accordance with, well, the Plymouth Select Board is holding a public hearing in accordance with RSA 31:95B for the acceptance of unanticipated funds from FEMA. The funds will be utilized on Texas Hill Road and are received from FEMA as a result of storm damage along that roadway from December of 2022. These funds are in the amount of $59,940.
Would you like me to give just a little overview, Zach?
I would love that.
So this does date back to December of '22. We had a rain event during a 3-day period, which Texas Hill Road was damaged during that event. We have gone through the grant process with Homeland Security and FEMA to recover damages, the funds. I can tell you that there were several meetings that were held with FEMA. There were several different teams that were associated with FEMA, and the end result was the award back to the town for the $59,940. In front of you tonight, you'll have a purchase order for that amount of money to do the restoration this fall, starting November 21st, I believe, to take care of that portion of road that was damaged during that storm.
All right. Any public comments? Nothing, Frank? All right. Anything online? I don't think we actually have anybody online.
No, it doesn't.
Do we,
look like it.
Jonathan? All right, thank you. With that, I'll close the public hearing at 5:20 PM.
make a
Any,
motion. I'll make a motion to accept the funds from FEMA in the sum total of $59,940 to be utilized in the restoration of Texas Hill Road.
I'll second.
any discussion?
What was that figure again?
$59,940.
Was it 625 or,
This is the purchase order. He's motioning to accept the FEMA funds.
okay,
They happen to be different, which I was going to ask about when we got to the purchase order.
okay, well, jumped the gun.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Because these things are so closely linked, I'll skip over the plowing and sanding and jump to the pave and shim on Texas Hill Road. So we have a letter here from Joe Fagnant. This letter is to inform you of the award of funds we received from FEMA in the amount of $59,940 from DR 4693, which occurred between 12/22/2022 and 12/25/2022. I'm requesting to use this award to pave and shim and overlay on a section of Texas Hill Road beginning of the pond area and as far as the funding will take the paving project. R&D proposed an amount of $59,625. I'd like to use this paving company as they can do the project this month.
So with that being said, I would ask the board to waive the competitive bid process as we did with Oak Ridge and Carmel Drive. At the same time, R&D was here to give quotes on those. They did give a quote on Texas Hill Road. They've honored the prices that they quoted us this summer on the other streets that we did. And at that time, they were lowest bid for those streets. And additionally, there were no other paving companies that were interested in paving this late in the season. So I would ask that be waived, and we would move forward with the proposal from R&D Paving.
Before you give him a motion, on the page 1 of the R&D paving, there's a section in there about Texas Hill Road shim, and these costs are significantly higher. What's the disconnect that I'm not following here?
I'm sorry, what's that, Zach?
If you go to, you have it in your packet, right? If you go to this R&D paving page,
Yep.
it's not that one. Go one. I think it's one more. Maybe it's two more. Keep going.
One of two on the bottom,
So,
Scott.
yeah, it's
I think one more maybe. Okay, like,
it's this page.
so it's about 7 or 8 in.
No, it's okay. There's a lot of pages in that packet.
These are for different sections that we're looking to do next year.
Okay, so this is part of a proposal for later.
One of 4 sections.
Okay.
Yes,
In this section, it is only going as far as the money lasts.
That's
as
correct.
opposed to,
it gets us just to the end of where we had the damage from Langdon Street, Thurlow Street, up to the top of the hill by the
the apartments.
apartments or up at that area.
So it's a little, about a half a mile or so total length,
Yeah,
as opposed to over a mile, which was quoted.
right. And then the other 3 sections that are quoted further on in that presentation are going all the way.
Are going
through
further.
Texas Hill to Cummings Hill Road.
Okay.
Will we be able to apply for grants to cover these other 3 sections, or?
This money isn't a grant, this money is coming from FEMA from disaster relief funds.
Right.
So if we have another disaster, we can, of course, go through the process again, but as you can see, it took us 2 years.
Right.
And a lot of work and energy to receive that 59,000.
Is that usual? Or it
They've
takes so
had some
long and-
significant changeover in personnel
Okay.
at FEMA, and every time they would change, depending on where their emergencies are, every time they would change, the new person would start all over again.
Gotcha.
which was about every 3 or 4 months they would do that. So we went through like 16 people, I think.
Yes,
Wow.
4 different teams of 4.
Wow. Is it
Look-
worth the 59,000?
Depends.
We said this-
For all those,
I
Depends
mean,
on
we
what.
probably spent less than
Right.
that, but they probably spent more than that. Is there a federal match component to this? Because I was, again, just looking at this packet. We had talked about the 59,000, but it says there's a non-federal share of 19,980.
The estimate, Zach, of those, the estimate of damage was those 2 numbers combined.
Okay, so their expectation is just, well, we covered the other portion of that damage. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. All right, with that, I am done asking questions.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the paving quotation and exempt them from competitive bid for $59,625 to R&D Paving to pave and shim a section of Texas Hill Road.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so let's go over to RM Piper. We have a quote here for plowing and sanding services.
So this was put out to RFP. It was advertised on the website and in the newspaper. For 4 weeks, we only received 1 bid from RM Piper, who has been plowing and sanding that area for several years. They held with the price that they quoted us last year and we paid. So it's estimated at 63 hours at $98 an hour for a total of $16,000 for the 24-25 winter season.
it's only one person replying back.
Been multiple
Special
years.
about us.
Multiple years. That's, they're the
Availability.
only company that's interested.
Okay. It
Which
seems like we
feels wild.
right, given where we are.
Yeah.
Interested in starting up a plowing
I
business?
think
Yeah.
I think I could close
You
the
can-
ice cream shop.
You can
and
undercut them.
Addie, where are you? Addie's willing.
Do you want to learn how to drive a plow truck?
I'd rather scoop ice cream.
Did you note that the hourly rate's $98 an hour?
It's true.
Probably pays better than Marianne.
A wee bit. Yeah, but we include tips, so it
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
works
that's probably all.
out the same.
I'm sure it all works out.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept the bid from RM Piper, Inc. for $16,000 for plowing and sanding services at Boulder Point.
I'll second.
Go for it, yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Do we have a presentation by PSU students?
I know they called, they were unable to make it. I'm
Okay.
trying to get them onto the next agenda.
Okay. That sounds good. Then that takes us to 2025 holidays and select board meetings. Try to leave you some space here, Marianne, but I don't know if it's enough.
I'll squeeze it in.
All right. Anything special to note here on the vacation days, holidays?
No.
Follows the same schedule as we had in '24.
No changes, same things.
There is not.
I will note, we have the October 13th holiday mislabeled.
We actually don't.
Yeah.
By state law,
Yeah.
we have to list it
Call
as
it.
Columbus Day.
Even though we've
Even though that we
Right.
recognized it,
Town says it's,
they require us to list it as Columbus Day.
Yep.
Can we do a
Is that a
slash
new law?
Indigenous Peoples Day?
On July 1st.
this year. Yeah.
Interesting.
So we can't do the slash.
Can we do a slash? We do
I
Martin
don't know
Luther
the
King
answer.
Put a
Jr.
dash.
/ Civil Rights Day.
Because we had to change all the postings here in Town Hall and on the website.
If you could look into the slash, that would be appreciated.
We can check on it, absolutely.
Apparently, that's what we celebrate these days. Anything, oh, okay, any other comments on that?
None.
That takes us to the meeting schedule. Bunch of work sessions. Everything else looks pretty normal.
Of course, there will be additional meetings added, probably in November, December for the
Yep, of course.
coming budgets, but
Not that it's, I don't know. Are there other elections that we have to oversee in 2025, or is it only town elections next year?
It's just the town election in March.
There's
yay.
no
There's no November one?
I think
no
that's what
November election?
Amy told us today is we just have the one election in March.
So,
What would you think? Because everything else is tied to,
Yeah.
it's either every 2 or every 4 years, and we're
2 or
now
4?
looking for another 2 years.
There's no threes? There's no 3-year terms for anybody?
not in state or local government.
Oh.
It's,
Just in just in town?
or actually, the county commissioner positions, I think, are 3 years. Maybe not.
Where-
They alternated them.
It doesn't feel like we've ever had a November that didn't have an election. Maybe I'm just exhausted by it.
We can have one. What's the
No,
Special election?
the
Get
town
pushed
vesti-
back
the
from the
town
clerk's
If we
vesti-
could call
office,
one, let's
too.
call one. Any other comments on the select board meeting schedule or holiday schedule? All right, signature file review.
all right, I only have a couple items. So the first one is an abatement that was actually written on it somehow slipped by our hands. It is for One Point of View Drive, SJD SRD Properties, Inc. Said here, there was an adjustment in the land that needed to be made due to not having an inspection. Also contained in the application was a statement that the assessment is not reflected in the current sales. The 2023 final assessment was 1.064900, so 1,064,900. An abatement should be granted based on the difference in the assessment of $16,600, bringing the assessment down to $1,048,300, and that was after a review of the property. So they actually got out there, so. So we're looking at an abatement of $404.71, no interest, is to be assessed because the property has back taxes that are due. So you're just paying that directly to the tax collector. Next one is a property that's in current use on Texas Hill Road. They're looking to do a intent to cut, 162 acres. They're cutting 125 of those acres. That's all I have.
Those are simple enough.
It was simple.
Create that stack there. Send it back to Ann. Got it most of the way there.
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports. Plymouth Village Water and Sewer.
Unfortunately, they're meeting right now, but they might be done. I will try and get the meeting minutes from tonight and so we share them next time.
All right. No, Neil, did you watch
I
the
did.
planning board?
So, The highlighted items from the planning board meeting was Tom Newcomb, the building inspector, came in and presented with regards to accessory dwelling units as well as short-term rentals, and had a conversation with the planning board about implementing some forms that justify
Sake.
and acknowledge if someone is developing an accessory dwelling unit. Also provided some content with regards to short-term rentals, whereas it isn't specified in the zoning ordinance, which would mean that it's not an acceptable use in the town of Plymouth. The planning board is going to discuss this further at their next business meeting. They did discuss the potential zoning amendments under consideration for the 2025 town meeting, specifically the agricultural zone and commercial use. There was quite a lengthy conversation on that, and what they've done is continue that for further public comment at a public hearing to be scheduled in December. They discussed the discussion of New Hampshire Housing Champions Designation Program, which would allow the town access to grants for housing, targeting specifically adequate levels of workforce housing. So they've talked about that. They have Judy Barrett from Barrett Planning providing some additional information on that as well. And other than that, they went through the minutes, they opened it up for public comment. There was a few public comments with regards to the Brandon Hills subdivision or site plan that is going in on Beach Hill. But that really was the highlights of the meeting last Thursday.
All right. Any questions for?
What award did John Christ get?
I'm sorry?
What award did John Christ receive?
He received Planner of the Year for the Northeast region of the American Planners Association.
I gotta admit that, I watched, the planning board meetings. Of course, I didn't watch the last one, which was like 3.5 hours, but they usually are pretty long.
Right.
And I just really admire his leadership and, people on the board. I think we've got a really good board now, and it's doing a lot of good work. So,
Good shout out for John. Campus Community Council,
Not applicable at this time.
Plymouth Elementary School.
Plymouth Elementary School board meeting on the 7th of this month. The principal's report included talk about the Halloween parade at the school, a pep rally, their middle school dance on November 1st, which had about 200 students participating. They talked a little bit about Rachel's Challenge that occurred on 11/6 with presentations and workshops. They also spoke to a Veterans Day ceremony that occurred on the 7th. They brought back the Thanksgiving Day meal event with parents that I guess went on hiatus for a couple of years. They talked a little bit about a highlight reel that they're creating as a promotional video for the school. About 3 minutes in length. They're having someone do some professional type shots. They had to get some permission slips from any students that they wanted to film. They talked briefly about athletics. Girls finished the 7th at state, boys 9th, I think. They have 93 students signed up for winter sports. But the most of the meeting was really on the budget review, which
What's
took,
that looking like?
long story short, they went through a lot of line items, some up, some down. Some of the results are because of salary raises as a result of the collective bargaining unit. Some increases for tuition, basically paying to send someone out of district. Trying to just get some of the highlights. I took notes directly on the paper. In the end, the total budget is up about 3.8%, and this was the first read-through. That was about $407,000.
Scott, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Said 407?
407 407, 843, likely this is going to change more since this was the first read.
Yeah.
They did this, I think they said a full month ahead of when they did it last year to give more time.
More time for feedback.
feedback and input, yeah.
I can't do the quick math in my head anymore because it used to be about $500,000 was about $1 on the tax rate, but I don't know what it is anymore.
It's about 70 cents
Yep.
on your tax rate.
So $400,000 about 70 cents.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's about 50 cents on your
Yeah.
tax rate.
So 800,000 per dollar is what we're at these days.
740 something, yeah,
Yeah.
So,
All right.
so
Very
rough,
close.
rough math.
right.
Yeah, 750 to 1.
Every $74,000 is 10 cents on the tax rate.
Okay.
You know, specifically,
It's a lot.
the biggest increase is obviously in this special education budget. That's where one of those students is going out of district, and that also counts for the salaries in that area too.
Mhm.
Were up significantly
Mm-hmm.
because of CBA.
Yeah.
That's all I
Okay,
have to
well-
report on that one.
Hopefully they find some savings on the next round.
That was the elementary school, Ted?
Yeah, the elementary school. What about high school?
The high school is meeting on 11/19 at 5 p.m.
Ah.
They also moved their dates because of the election.
Okay, stick with you, Ted. Conservation Commission.
I have not seen the notes from their last meeting because they met last when we were meeting. They do have the next meeting that is supposed to be on the 19th at 7 p.m.
All right, capital improvement.
Sue will be setting a meeting on Thursday. Once the budget meetings wrap up, Sue will be setting a meeting for that following week.
So meeting next week. LRPC.
We're going to, there's an executive committee meeting tomorrow morning. And I reported on the conservation, or the commissioner meeting.
Yep. Parks and Rec.
They were meeting today at 4:30. I was hoping to have the notes by now, but I don't, so I can't really tell you much more.
Parking and economic development.
Nope, still waiting for, although I saw your notes, we should agree on a date for talking to these folks.
Would you like them to come to a select board meeting and have a conversation with them at that point separately to kind of talk about what our thoughts are and then move forward from there? Because I can invite them. They're available in December.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, nobody needs an extra meeting, so
That's what I'm thinking, if we can do it.
yeah, might as well do it here.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's great. Energy Commission, Bill.
We already talked about the energy audits but then tomorrow, Thursday evening, there's going to be another meeting, and we're going to be looking at, Henry Herndon will be in to discuss community power discussion. And we'll just have updates on the different committees that are currently broken up, which includes the solar update, EV update, building committee, and town audit committee. And also library solar. I guess we're still going to approach the library to see if they can repair or whatever the solar array that's not operating. So anyway, Thursday night, 6 o'clock.
All right. Advisory Budget Committee. Scott already gave you an update on that. PSU negotiations. Nothing until spring. Chamber.
We meet Thursday.
Thursday. Perlac.
Oh, I don't know. Last Tuesday of the month. I don't think we had a meeting, or if I did.
That would have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I must have said something about it.
You must have. I think you said you were meeting the next day.
Well, then we met then.
I'm sure you did. Police and Fire Building Assessment Committee.
Kevin is still trying to schedule a meeting with the Turner Group.
Okay. And then union negotiations, which we got an update on. All right, that's committee reports. Public comments.
Frank Miller. The sidewalk that leads from the post office over to UPS, the pavement has a 1-inch differential. And I don't know if that was done on purpose to put one of those plates down for a blind or wheelchair. But it's a tripping hazard. And I think just for the winter, we should paint the yellow on it so people know that it's a different level of pavement there, because it's very obvious to people who walk back and forth on it.
Which sidewalk is that?
It's the
Or
one
crosswalk?
in the center of the common that goes over to UPS.
Okay.
All right. And the other comment I have is I'd like to be part of the economic development as a public rep, and because I have a lot of information that might be helpful to provide to that committee. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment on the sidewalk, and we'll get that taken care of this week.
And I think we definitely want Frank's participation on
Yes.
all things economic development.
Well,
You want to talk about your meeting this afternoon? Nope.
I don't have my information with me. Do you have it? So we had a call with DRA this afternoon in regards to setting our tax rate for 2024. And the end result of where we are prior to hitting the approval button, based on all the conversations we've had with DRA, is first, based on our fund balance policy that we put in place, we will not have a red line across our documents this year because we are at 7.92%. And you want to be between 5 and 17%. So right now, we will have an unassigned fund balance of $1,849,526. We have never had that level, and you consider back when we started 2023, we had $337,000. So our fund balance policy is working, and we are in compliance with DRA regulations for where we should be. Second, looking at the tax rate. So the town portion of the tax rate for 2023 was $11.09. The town portion of the tax rate for 2024 right now is $10.93. So we've had a decrease. The county in 2023 was $1.18. Looking at what it will be in 2024 is $1.07.
What was the 2023?
I'm sorry, Zach.
What was the number you gave for 2023?
$1.18.
$1.18.
Local schools in 2023 was $10.89. For 2024, it's gone up to $11.77, which is an 88-cent increase. The state portion of education in 2023 was $1.22, and in 2024 will be $1.35. So the totals for 2023, we had a tax rate of $24.38, and for 2024, we'll have a tax rate of $25.12, which is an increase of 74 cents.
Can you read those last two again?
Yeah.
I'm
Couldn't
sorry,
write the
last two.
final.
the final?
Yeah.
So the final is 2023. We had a tax rate of $24.38. 2024, our tax rate in January will go to $25.12, which is a 74-cent increase. So in the last 3 years, the town portion of the tax rate has dropped from 13 to 1109 to 1093. In the budget that we're putting forward for 25, 26 should, anticipated, should show another decrease in the town portion of the tax rate. So I think we have budgeted conservatively to maintain our commitment to the community of trying to lower or at least level the tax rate on the town's portion.
What was the 2024 county number?
2024 county number is $1.07,
All right. So town and county are down,
correct,
and both local and state schools are up.
correct.
Okay.
That's what our conversations were this afternoon with DRA, and we should see the final paperwork tomorrow from them, or did,
You and I are going to talk one more time, just a couple scenarios to see. But at this time, the proposal is to not put any of your fund balance that's undesignated against your tax rate.
the reason for that
74
is it artificially takes down the tax rate based on the budget request
Yep.
and the budget approval.
And it's
So
all
if you
budget
continue
driven
to
right
do
now.
that, you're just gonna be taking fund balance all the time and applying it artificially to lower the tax rate based on the actual budgeted numbers.
Yeah.
And our tax rate in the town has been going down, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
In order to offset that 88 cents, keeping in mind that $74,719
So,
reduces the tax rate by 10 cents, it would cost us $597,752 to minimize the increase on that budget. But that's artificially decreasing the tax rate based on the approved budget.
Yep.
So like Ann said, we'll have some further conversations tomorrow to think about and maybe try to creatively come up with some different scenarios that we can discuss at our next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if we could figure out how to get this department's creative budget thinking to propagate, to Old Ward Bridge Road.
And it isn't, we've been hitting the revenues, they're right on. It isn't that we're inflating. The budget is not frozen like it was there for a few years.
Yeah.
Like in March, they were told, no more spending,
Right.
because we weren't getting the revenue.
We haven't had that problem the last couple of years.
No, no.
Which is also just
And the other thing
better.
is we're
manage your
setting
budget for
aside,
12 months.
Correct.
setting aside $100,000 in overlay
Yep.
in the anticipation of abatements as well, which we would be foolish not to do that. But still, I mean, we've shown significant progress in lowering the budget over 3 years.
Yeah.
The town portion of the budget.
Well, definitely the two of you should be commended for all those efforts.
I think it's everybody. It's the board, it's department heads, it's really taking an approach of accountability and financial stability within the budgetary process.
well done.
Well done. Bill, did you have a comment?
Well done.
Okay, that's a good one. Anything else from the board?
No, I guess we'll make a motion to go into non-public in accordance to RSA 91-A:3, number 2, letter A, personnel.
I will second.
Ted? Bill?
Aye.
Zach? Aye. Marianne?
Aye.